Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the official scary podcast of GeoWoodstock 18 in the great Pacific Northwest. And each week we're going to talk about caches and cachers from here and all around the globe. So while you're passing around the petition to change the name of nanos to fun-size caches, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Well, and that means it's time to bring in our haunted howler monkey. Some say he's the creepy guy that hands out candy all year round. And others say his wisdom makes owls seethe with jealousy. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Hey guys, good to see you. Good to see you, Jesse.
Hi.
Hi. We've got a fun show lined up tonight, and based on that intro, I guess I should stop driving around in the old van handing out candy. Is that
Well,
the advice?
I know that's not completely true because I've seen you at different times of the year and you haven't always given me candy.
No, I drive around in the old van handing out Timbits.
That is true.
The Canadian version. All right. Yes, tonight we are talking about creepy things, but not that creepy. We're talking about caching in haunted places with our good friend JtCoffee.
Glad to be here.
We're excited about this topic. And I mean, how apropos can we be?
No kidding. Excellent choice.
To have you on the podcast? Yes, indeed. All right. And speaking of other things we love about the podcast, we love our patrons who help to keep the podcast coming each and every week. And of course, that includes Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. If you would like to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
Nice. And another thing we love each and every week is our glows. That's our geocaching log of the week. Whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it. Do you know why? Because I tell you each and every week, because great logs simply make geocaching better. Send an email or a field recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call in to 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool. See, we've given you so many different ways to contact.
All those options, yes.
We want to know how you glow. We need your glows. If not, we're going to send you all our extra Halloween candy.
It sounds like a good thing, but wait till the Postal Service gets it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you start getting all these boxes and bags of candy, it's not as much fun as you think it is.
Yeah. And the tracking information just stops at the international border right here, too.
That's right.
Well, hey, this week's glow. How appropriate for Halloween. It's from the Cool Cow Cachers when they found the bloated, festering head of my first victim. It's a fun local cache that I think we've all done. It's memorable. It's this is GC J7VH, Juliet 7 Victor Hotel. And the glow reads, at a recent event, we were discussing favorite caches in the area with the hosts, L&L kayakers. We've a particular fondness for most of the caches in DuPont, and of course, the bloated, festering head of my first victim came up. Subman said he not only knew the way into the swamp, but had done it with dry feet and was willing to lead a group in. Well, of course, I couldn't leave it alone. With beta on the route in and the possibility of an easy trip, I headed down to DuPont myself to check it out. While I did find a good access point, the path was closed about 100 feet in, making me question whether or not it was the correct way. That evening, I messaged Subman to take him up on his offer of guidance. A small party rapidly came together through Facebook, and 2 days later, we were on our way into the swamp. Having recently completed GC1 Bravo Hotel Juliet Whiskey, my arms were still aching with the memory of a good 2-hour machete fest and expecting nothing less here. My freshly honed blade came along once more. Terrible Tease and I met Subman at the prearranged location, and after waiting to see if anyone else would show up, we made our way up the trail. Leaving the path at the spot I had discovered 2 days before, we quickly came to the realization that there would be no path but the one we made for ourselves today. After about 10 minutes in, we heard voices behind us and someone called out, "Are those geocachers in there?" good Lord, I hope so. Who else would be so crazy as to trudge their way into this swamp? With the path somewhat cleared behind us, a short time later, Kennel Barb, Canine Biscuit, and 3 Amigos 74 managed to catch up to us. This approach to this cache deserves every bit of its 4-star terrain rating. We pushed and chopped our way through the foliage for an hour and a half. At times, the way ahead was clear, as in we could tell which way to go. Several times we ran into a wall of brush and simply forced our way through in hopes that there was something better on the other side. Somehow, we made our way through and eventually found ourselves within 50 feet of our goal. Subman told us that when he was last here, he could see it from 20 feet away. Obviously, that wasn't going to be the case today. I slowly pushed my way the final few feet towards a small tree that seemed promising. Not seeing anything there, I turned around, and there on a rotting old stump were the Elydians' prized trophies. Definitely, this cache is a classic of classics, and the voyage earns every bit of its fearsome reputation. I suppose I can't help but add a favorite point to the pile.
Very cool. It's a very memorable cache if you've done it.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if tonight or even this weekend there's a group going up for that cache in the
I
evening.
bet there's a group out there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tonight, at least. Yeah.
I was up at HQ yesterday, and they were talking perhaps they would head down for this one, but
very cool. Very cool.
Anyway,
I was going to say we had a tradition. This is the first year maybe last year's. Anyways, very recently we broke the tradition that we used to go out and do a night cache every Halloween night. But we've kind of used them all up. There's none near us anymore.
You have to put one out.
Well, yeah, but then I can't do it. Somebody else has to put one out.
Land Monkey, that's when you take one for the team and you be that team player so that others can enjoy it.
Fine.
Hey, folks, if you want to join into tonight's chat and you're watching live, go ahead and use hashtag spooky to add something for for tonight's show's topic. Of course, you can always use the hashtag FATAS and have something that we talk about a little bit later in something we like to call the after show. And we've got some news. I think.
Yep. Sorry. Did you want me to
take that red light? That is really hard on just one eye.
So the first bit of news is
my right eye is
red light. Yeah.
It's still flashing.
All right. We're gonna
Oh no, I'm sorry. This is you, Land Monkey.
It is. So
yeah.
I was just waiting for you to take a breath. Okay.
He doesn't do that well.
Now let's all play nice together. All right. News. We have news. The news tonight is from the geocaching.com blog. I think that's what Chris was about to say. And it's all about the ghost of caches past. They say nothing is spookier than coming across an unloved geocache. Its soggy logbook gives you goosebumps. The broken container allows a look at its rotting insides. It's terrifying.
It is.
If you're a cache owner and you don't want to be haunted by the ghost of your cache's past, here's some pro tips. Here's how to decide when a geocache is ready for the cache cemetery and how to deal with the cache remains. And so here we have some top reasons where it might be time to archive your cache. Chris, over to you.
I'm sorry, the segment title there is written in red, and I can no longer see red. All my rods and cones are messed up. Okay. Apparently that it was messing with the auto white balance on the camera, and so everybody else says thank you for turning that red light off. So if you're listening to this later, you got nothing to worry about. Now, one of the reasons you may want to archive your cache and maybe get it ready for the cache cemeteries because you're moving. Cache ownership requires regular trips to the cache's hiding spot to replace full logbooks, make sure the container is in good shape, and keep a lookout for changing conditions. If you know you're going to move and live far from your cache to do maintenance, you have two options. You can either transfer ownership of that cache to another geocacher in your home area, or you can collect the cache container and archive the cache listing online. You know, this is really an important step, collecting the cache container if you want to avoid being haunted by your cache for life. Left behind cash containers turn treasures into garbage and convert the game that cherishes nature into a game that litters.
Geolitter, I think they call that.
Mhm.
Jesse, did you want to take the next section?
Sure. Let me get on my right page
Yeah.
here.
No worries. We're at the location is changing. Chris has my name beside it, but I thought I would rather hear from you than me.
Yeah. I'm scrolling.
There you
I
go.
had on split page here.
Yep.
And so I'm not.
It's highlighted here as an LM.
Oh,
the
there
cache
we
location.
go.
There you go.
Right. The cache location might change, like construction, weather, or changes to land ownership. No location will ever remain the same forever. So make sure to read the logs on your owned caches and visit the location periodically to make sure that the cache is in place and still accessible. Otherwise, it's time to collect the container, archive the cache, and find a better spot so that where you can hide a new one.
Well done. Much better than Land Monkey. Another thing that you might want to consider time to turn these caches away is when life just takes over. It does that sometimes. It seems like there's always so much to do, and just when you get it all done, you have to do it all over again. It's kind of like painting the Narrows Bridge. I hear that's a full-time job. They get to the end and they just start at the other end and start painting all over again. If life becomes too busy for you and you think you can't be the responsible cache owner you aspire to be, and we all do aspire to be responsible cache owners, it might just be time to say goodbye to your beloved cache. As Chris mentioned, you could just transfer the ownership to another cacher in your area, or you could collect a container, no, don't geolitter, and archive the cache. Note, archive parties are not recommended. But if you do archive the cache, that will free up the location for another cacher to hide another glorious cache in that location.
There you go. And as GSM times 2 says, it's a great opportunity to refresh the game board by getting rid of generic ho-hum geocaches.
There you go.
Exactly. Another reason to clean up your junk is if you're dealing with multiple DNFs. If you have repeated muggle theft and have replaced a cache container over and over again, you may consider that the location itself might be haunted, or it just might be a crappy location. Have you tried a better disguise or camo? Have you changed the cache container to fit better in the hiding spot? Yet still, the geocache has vanished once again. So after thoroughly checking the location to make sure the container really, really, really isn't there, you should just archive the cache listing and give up. If you take these tips to heart, collect and archive your cache. If we haven't said it 8 times already, we're going to say it 9 times. Don't leave your old cache containers out there. We can almost guarantee you won't be haunted by the ghost of your cache's past.
Almost guarantee it.
Almost guarantee. So close.
So have we learned what HQ is doing with the hashtag spooky cache here on Instagram and Twitter? So keep up to date and find out on Instagram and Twitter what they're doing and the mysterious monsters as they draw near.
All right. Well,
mysterious monsters, here we are.
There you go. Speaking of mysterious monsters, it's Jesse.
Hey!
I
knew that was coming somehow.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I couldn't leave you out of the fun. And you are the Ape Queen, after all.
That's right.
And now that Going Ape 2019 is all wrapped up for the year, I'm assuming you've actually been able to put that behind you at this point in time.
Yes, I just, in fact, returned a chair that was left there today. I've got a couple little tiny loose ends of little lost and found items to still reunite. But other than that, we're all wrapped up.
Awesome. So aside from returning people's chairs, what else are you keeping yourself busy with?
Well, planning for 2020, we're very much underway in that, getting everything ready. We are in the thick of all the details, and as soon as everything is solidified, we'll get that event up and published so that everyone can log their will attend. We're really excited about all the things that we've got going so far. And of course, geocaching. That's keeping me certainly very busy these days.
Heard about that. I need to try
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
You know, it's
I
really
hear that.
fun.
Hear that can
Mhm.
keep people busy.
It
Yeah.
does. There are, goals that people have that just kind of rack up, and then toward the end of the year, you got to get them done. And yep.
I know all about that. And they're not done. They're not done yet. But tonight we're talking about caching in haunted places. Now we've seen on social media. Yeah, we've stalked you. You've been doing a fair bit of that spooktacular caching in haunted places. Why don't you start us off by telling us about the most recent creepy cache coordinates you've visited?
Yeah, I have been to a bunch recently. I like to head to those places this time of year. And one of the coolest places I've been to in the Pacific Northwest recently is the Northern State Recreation Area in Cedar-Woolley, Washington. There are a bunch of caches there, and one of them is GC1, beta 216, and it hasn't always been a state recreation area. It was Northern State Hospital for a long time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now that sounds a little spooky. How did you find out about this?
This hospital was Northern State Hospital. It was an asylum from 1913 to 1972. And since it closed in 1972, it had the land itself and the buildings have been used for a ton of various things over time. And one of them was actually an alternative high school. Can you imagine going to high school at an old asylum?
I kind of think my high school was. When you go back and you look at your high school years, that kind of fits.
It was an asylum at the time you were there. That's different.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah.
And so in college, I actually did some teaching there, which is how I became aware of the place. And then turns out, of course, any place cool has to have a geocache there. And I looked, and in fact, there was. So I went for a walk there recently and explored some of the crumbly buildings. You can't get into every place because there's still a lot of buildings that are in various uses, but there are some abandoned places that they don't want you to walk through, but you can walk up to.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And at the end of the show, we'll give you the opportunity to share out your social media information so that other people can see some of these crazy cool places you get to go and explore as well.
Yeah.
But when I was coming up with the idea of this show, you were the first guest that came to my mind because having seen that particular place on your Instagram feed recently, I was like, okay, I got to ask Jesse about this place in particular.
Yeah.
That one just seemed surreal to me. Like it was out of a horror film.
It really is, especially the really crumbly parts with the hanging lights from the ceiling and the wallpaper peeling off. It looks like a movie set, but it's not.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of ghastly geocaching go-tos, we also hear you visited a ghost town or two or three.
Yeah.
Could you share with us some of the ones that you've checked out?
Well, yeah, Monte Cristo, of course. In fact, I went with the Caching in the Northwest crew to explore that famous ghost town. That was a really fun trip. Was that 2 summers? Not last
Two
summer, but
summers
the summer
ago,
before.
Yeah,
Oh,
that was a fun trip, but it's been too long.
Yeah. Recently went out to visit Leicester, which is a ghost town. The cache there is GC17G5H. Nearby there is also Weston. There's a cache there. There aren't any remnants of Weston left. In fact, you have to rely on the geocache page to tell you all about Weston and what was there. It's just looks like a forest with a forest road going through it now. But Leicester has a few old little rusted bits of things, of sinks and tools and gas containers and foundation pads and things, which is really cool to explore.
So it's pretty much like my backyard if I don't go out there and mow the lawn.
Have some definite treasures to find.
Yeah.
So Jesse, whereabouts would Leicester and Weston be? Like if one was looking at the map of, I'm assuming this is in Washington.
Yeah, it's let's see, not quite the middle.
Okay.
It's actually pretty near the ape cache, relatively speaking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That helps. Okay.
Something to add to the list, perhaps, for next summer.
Ooh, pro tip.
Yeah. So there's so many fascinating things about ghost towns and the things. What interests you most about these kinds of spooky haunts and spooky spots?
It's some of it is the same joy that you get from geocaching, the finding of hidden things, of like the treasure hunting piece of it. The other piece is that kind of that meta feeling that you get when you're visiting some place really old, either a really historical place or something like that, that you and your experience on that day is just a tiny piece of that place's history, that so many people have been there before you and so many people will come there after you. And the place stays there the whole time. I love that sort of thing. That's one of the things I love about exploring old things in general.
Nice. Now, is there a bucket list of places you want to go and visit someday that maybe are a little haunted or spooky?
Definitely. And that's a great question, because I actually just last week checked one of those boxes. I was in Tombstone, Arizona, which is not right now a ghost town. It used to be. It's had a really interesting history. That's, of course, in the mid 1800s, where Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday had their famous shootout at the OK Corral. And after time, it turned into kind of a ghost town. And now it's a adorably cheesy Hollywoodized version of the classic West. Where things aren't quite as they used to be, and there are cowboys roaming the streets and things, which I just love. But there's also an old virtual cache there that we went and found, GCH85X, and it will take you along what is now a road, and it was the train tracks, though, where the train came into town. And then you stop the car, you get out, and you get to this old crumbly trestle. And then under the trestle are petroglyphs that you could just walk right up to. And that is such an authentic historical experience to see all those different levels of pieces of story of the place, which was so cool to see. Truly, though, just the more crumbly and cool, the better. And the weirder the story, the better. And so I've got a long list going. My dream big place is Petra, Jordan. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely there.
That would be
That where all the petroglyphs come from?
Yeah. All the 5-sided glyphs. Yeah.
That's right.
Maybe next summer we could do a caching and NorthWest trip there.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Ooh, that would be, very accessible, I think.
Do we want to do it in the summer, or do we want to do it when it's maybe cooler?
It's in a canyon. So, I mean, once you go inside, you're fine.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you, expert.
I think I would go just about any time I was able, but
Right.
There's
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yep. I would make it work.
Yeah.
That would be a cool location.
Yeah.
I am fortunate enough to know some people who've gone
Mhm.
and seen their photos and talked to them about their experiences there. And yeah, that would be pretty amazing. That's definitely on the list. I'm sure
Yes.
for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome. So let's talk about one of the main reasons I'm sure people are keen on this episode, which is if someone likes the idea of finding these kinds of spots, what are your pro tips, Jesse, for how people can research them and find out about them?
Yeah. Well, through the geocaching path, there is an attribute, and you can search for a little abandoned building attribute, and sometimes that really helps out and gets you to a really interesting place. And maybe it's not even a whole town, but you are maybe walking through the mountains and you find an old building, which is still really cool to explore. And if the cache owner has used attributes appropriately, there should be a handy dandy little abandoned building attribute on there for you. Sometimes that doesn't always work out. And I find a lot of the places to explore on other avenues. Like I love the website Atlas Obscura, which highlights some kind of weird places. It's kind of like a blog where different users can make different entries about just weird, non-regular touristy places that they recommend people visiting an area should check out. And so I look through there on a place I'm traveling to find some kind of like, well, here was the very first postage stamp that was ever dropped on the floor or something like that. And then sure enough, there's a geocache there celebrating the same thing or something like that. And National Geographic also has some really nice articles and features of these sorts of things. And there are even on Netflix or on in movies, you know, I mean, the third Indiana Jones, in fact, takes place in Petra.
Right.
And so a lot of those places you can find in that sort of a unique way. And then if you figure out where those are, take a look at your geocaching map. It sets you on a course, which is awfully convenient.
I personally love the Atlas Obscura website as well. There are several things I found local, like the Pac-Man Park in Seattle.
Yeah.
I had no idea that was there. The quietest square inch in the rainforest. Little things like that, it's nice, and you get other people's, you take this path and then you take a left and it'll get you there. So other people have visited and they're sharing their kind of obscure knowledge with you. So.
Yeah. I'd throw another suggestion in there, and certainly up here in BC, the Gold Country Geo Tour takes you to a lot of abandoned sites and ghost towns and historical sites that have some really interesting and sometimes almost a little bizarre history behind them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
There is some bizarre history up in BC.
Okay, so I've done my little research on Atlas Obscura. I've searched for all kinds of abandoned places on my geocaching type icons, and I'm ready to go out and have some fun and looking for haunted places. I need to pack my bag and bring some stuff with me. I might throw in a proton pack, maybe a towel in case you get slimed or something, but are there any other special tools of the trade or always safety gear, safety first, right?
Right.
That we should bring along for these kind of hides?
Yeah. I do always, of course, like to bring a first aid kit along, because often when you're exploring places that have crumbly things or left up by debris, it might be things like rusted metal or perhaps barbed wire or something like that. So it's important that you're prepared for stumbling through some of those places. And I always bring a really bright flashlight with me, because often you're not admitted into things like old mines or old crumbly buildings for your own safety. And I certainly don't recommend, even though it may look really cool, to ignore those signs. It's really important for safety to follow those. But if you have a really strong flashlight, you can shine it in and see all of the cool things. Maybe there's leftover notes on walls on a cork board, or old art or an old book left on a shelf, or something that you couldn't really see with just your plain eyes. But with a flashlight, you can see those places better from a safe place.
Maybe a DeLorean with rotted tires.
No, I was thinking a Post-it note on a floppy disk,
Or a
but
hover
no,
pack.
maybe a little older than that.
I don't know. That's pretty old.
Yeah.
And pretty creepy, actually.
Yeah, 5 1/4.
8.
8-inch.
8 inch. There you go.
Wits End has a portable sun that should illuminate all the dark areas. Speaking of having a portable sun, right now, this time of year, we get a lot of night. So we often go out and find caches at night, not intended to be night caches, but if we're going to go out and find them, sometimes we have no choice but to go out at night.
True.
Are any of these locations designated night caches?
Not often the ones that we've mentioned so far. There are some pretty spectacular night caches in our area in the Pacific Northwest. Some of my favorites are over on the Olympic Peninsula, and conveniently, you can really just search by favorite points over there.
Yeah.
They're pretty easy to find, and by using the attributes, because there's some of the highest favorited points out there. But you might be looking for fire tax, or you might be looking for electronic eyes in the trees. They're pretty special. And I do really love doing those. that's almost a whole show in and of itself. Cool night caches in the area.
Yeah, it is.
Sounds like that will be a future episode. So let's start putting it in your calendar, Jesse. You're coming back for the night cache episode. All right. So some really good tips here. The Atlas Obscura one is, I'd heard of Atlas Obscura. I've never actually gone to the site. So now I'm gonna have to go check this out.
Well, if you want to know more, Monkey Cakes says the nice thing about Atlas Obscura is it posts longitude and latitude for the places. So it makes it easy to search for nearby caches.
There you go.
That's very cool.
It really does. You can make a login, and then it you might know that I really like statistics about things and places that I've been, and it will actually keep track. You can pin a place as some place you want to go or some place that you have gone, and then you can keep a log of all those places that you've gone, which is really cool.
That's very cool.
You can also there add your own entry. If you know of a really weird, awesome place that you think other people should know about, you can easily write one up.
Nice. Well, Jesse, last time you were on, you talked about stats.
Yes.
And you love stats. It truly shows. I can't tell you the number of responses that I've had that said, wow, you really brought stats alive to us. So just want to let you know, people love hearing that from you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Truly, if anybody wants to talk stats at any time, if at any event, just bend my ear and I am all there.
There you go. Sounds like an open invitation.
One more in the chat. I'm sorry, Jesse and Land Monkey. I'm covering you up with GSM times 2 there. If you read that the nuclear launch sequences, or did you read the nuclear launch sequences are still on 8-inch floppies, but are finally going to another media?
Oh,
that's spooky. Yeah, it's probably moving up to 3.5-inch floppies.
there you go. Could be.
They'll put them on a CD.
Laser
weed CD.
Betamax. All right.
Oh, so much fun.
So lots of great pro tips, Jesse. That's been a lot of fun talking about that. I mean, honestly, I would love to hear more of your adventures. Hopefully we'll have you back to hear more.
Yeah.
Chris, you okay?
I'm alive.
We almost lost one there.
You almost became the new host of the show, Jesse.
Have I told you about my drinking problem? Apparently I don't swallow properly. Who knows?
Jesse, that was classic. You did the airplane drinking problem. I love it.
Yep. Surely it must be
but they have just little bottles on the airplane.
Yeah.
So it's
all right. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up.
I think so. Hey, folks, we hope you had fun listening, or perhaps not so much fun. Maybe there was a bit of terror in listening to tonight's show, or it was a challenge. Go out and find these places. You know what? It's okay. You can go out during the daylight and find these, but don't wait until it's dark and go alone.
This is so much good advice. Yeah.
Wait. That goes against everything we say. It doesn't.
I'm sure our future guest is going to really love all this good advice you're giving.
So next week, we are talking about caching smart in winter with Adventure Smart. And you know what they're going to tell you? Never go alone and don't go at dark.
Yeah.
Don't listen to Chris is going to be their advice.
Yeah,
Pretty
pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's not next week. That's November 14th.
Oh,
So
sorry.
2 weeks out. But that's okay.
2 weeks out.
It's confusing the way that I put it in the show notes. So
Builds the anticipation.
Ooh.
But yes, 2 weeks out, Adventure Smart is back on the show, and Caching Smart in Winter. I am looking forward to it. They're very excited to join us again. It's always a fun guest as well.
Yeah. Adventure Smart. We've had them on. Oh, how long has it been?
It was in the spring.
Okay.
It's been a few
So
months.
6 months at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic information there.
Yep. Okay. Oh, and it's my turn. Okay. Jim just has a bunch of empty stuff beside his name. Okay. All right. I, of course, am going to take the opportunity once again to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online or go in person and visit their store in Victoria, British Columbia. Open 6 days a week except holidays, and shipping online orders daily. So definitely check
All
that
those
out.
sharks are scary.
Hmm.
Oh
I
gosh,
know, right?
I have to go get my cord. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. Especially those red sharks.
Line sharks.
Ding dong.
That's right. Candygram.
right.
All right.
So we also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters, Landsharks, JP's Geo Designs, Limax, Team Squirrel, and WorldCaching.com. Folks, if you want to know more about supporting the show, and I see that Jessie really did need to go get her cable. I'm assuming power cable based on
I
the
think
fact
so.
that you just dropped. So sorry, Landsharks, JP's Geo Designs, Limax, Team Squirrel, and WorldCaching.com. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on the cachingandw.com a website. And if you support the show, Jessie might come back. So
Clap really hard.
I did it again. No.
Komikino.
Komakino. You know what? I worked on it this week, so I wouldn't make that mistake. And then I go to read it and I can't do it. Don't answer the door, JT Coffee.
I think it's too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
And then there were 3.
Well,
Komakino.
not only 3, but also all of these fine supporters that have clicked that Patreon link on the website, such as Broncos Fan for Life,
Sprouter,
Camp Clan.
Tick Magnet,
Kev MacD.
Are we doing it scary style tonight?
I don't know.
Subway Mark.
Doramore,
Dune Buddy.
Kid the Vegas 19.
Geonav Pros,
Wino Seattle.
Ackerdoc.
Billy Robson,
Genies.
Antaeus.
Gates 94,
Trexer 0.
MC. 3.
Cattle Bar,
M Nerve.
Wet Coaster in green words.
Zege Hove,
Alarobic.
The Keepers of the Cash Flow.
Highlands Guy,
The Geo Travelers.
Boomer 365.
a GSM a times 2,
Kitty Quest.
That was scary. T. Sayer.
Seabeck Tribe,
CRS 98.
And finally, the most frightening of all the patrons,
Ooh.
B Pendragon, because it's got dragon in it.
It's actually a dragon.
So like totally scary.
Dragon.
I
I swear I
almost said
saw a
M
dragon.
unnerved, but I didn't.
Look who's back.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey, sorry
Perfectly
about
timed.
that. Oh my goodness, it was a poltergeist, I tell you.
we thought maybe you answered the door.
Jesse, there were
Trick or
several
treat.
people
No,
This is
it's
a
my
land
computer's like, it's shutting down. I'm like, oh wow,
who
all
didn't
right.
want you to answer the door.
Komikino, the one you can't say.
No, it was 3 hams. It says he pledges $10,000 to bring Jesse back.
Hey,
Hey.
send that check too. Cashing in the Northwest.
No, I got it. Komakino.
You got a week to practice, Chris.
I had a week and I didn't get it right.
You've got a week and $10,000. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Wow.
and Jesse, I guess you're on the show now.
I guess.
Ooh, hey, look, she came back. So, I'll take a personal check.
That's right.
But just, you know what? Head on over to cashingNW.com. Click that Patreon link. You can put any amount in.
That's right.
It
We'll
doesn't
even
have
take
to be
that.
10,000.
No, we take 100,000.
Yeah,
I take 1,000.
fine.
Hmm,
No, we take credit cards. We just don't give them back.
that's right.
Oh, so folks, you know what? Let's start with our guest,
Hmm.
who actually, Jesse, you're almost a regular.
I feel like it. It's so lovely to always be here or to be here so often.
Where can people find you if they want to stalk you? I mean, ask you questions on the interweb.
My geocaching handle is jtcoffee, like it says on the screen there for the visual participants. And you're welcome to friend me, message me through that. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My Insta handle, when you read it out loud, it's Jessie, which is my first name. But when you spell it, it's Jess_C, like the ocean. Juliet Echo Echo Sierra _ Sierra Echo Alpha.
There you go.
Most excellent.
Okay. How about you, Land Monkey?
Well, landmonkey.blogspot.ca, or actually just landmonkey.ca works too. Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope is where you'll find us the most active at LandMonkeyGC on those channels. I don't know why I even say Periscope anymore. I haven't Periscoped in like months and months, but Twitter and Instagram for sure. And Facebook, Team Land Monkey on Facebook, or even if you just search Land Monkey on Facebook, you're going to find me. And there's always cool content. And actually, if you're curious about what's coming up on this podcast, every week on Facebook and on Twitter, you definitely see posts of myself and Chris talking about the upcoming guests. So there's that stuff. And then, of course, our YouTube channel, which sadly has been lacking a new episode for a little while. So I know what I'm doing this weekend. And yeah, it's all good. In fact, I actually have, I'm going to squeeze in a little surprise announcement here. I have a contest.
I'm sorry, you didn't clear that first.
Yeah, too late. I have a contest I was running on my YouTube channel. And this weekend, I'm going to announce the winner from that. And they are going, the winner, I never said what the contest was for. The winner is going to get a Land Monkey GeoCoin.
Hey.
A what?
Ooh.
Yeah,
Wait, you have those?
I do.
Huh.
I do. I
Maybe
need
I
to
should have
see you
entered the
guys at some
contest.
point.
I think this is the only way you can get them.
That's right. And the YouTube channel, GSM times 2 is asking, what's the YouTube channel? It's LANMONKEY, Land Monkey on YouTube. So that's where you find me.
Why? Look at that. He asked that question.
Wits End, my friend, how do people find you?
Right here Thursday night. It's the most spooky place I've been. Spookiest place I can think of is Thursday nights right here on YouTube. Otherwise, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, geocaching.com. I'm Wits End. Chris, how about you?
People don't find me. I find them. I'll just show up on your doorstep. Now that's creepy.
That is pretty creepy.
Ding dong. You had people show up on your doorstep tonight. Well, for the most part, you didn't think it was creepy. You thought it was cute. So I hope
Nobody showed up on my doorstep.
Me neither.
Well, the majority of people, the normal people.
Well, that counts me out.
Yeah. Hey, you can find me on Twitter or Facebook at CachingNW. Instagram, you have to spell out Caching in the Northwest, but you can find me there. You know what's better? Head on over to CachingNW.com/host, read our bios, find all those links we just mentioned, and a few extra we don't tell anyone about. But folks, most of all, we thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Don't forget, you can be part of the show. Call 253-693-TFTC. Leave us a comment, ask us a question, mail us an 8-inch disc. Or fax us your leftover Halloween candy any time of the day or night. Of course, you can email us at feedback@cashingnw.com. Your support helps keep quality shows coming. So if you like this show, click the Patreon link on the cashingnw.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and so many more. Give us a thumbs up or even a review. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It shows licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Copyright 2019 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, we ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Are we there yet?
Apparently, we can send everything we want to Komakino.
Ooh, nicely done.
Yeah, do you see that? In fact, I emphasized Komakino, each syllable there. Feel free to send him all your Halloween candy or 8-inch floppy disks.
There you go. Well, as I understand it from his profile on Facebook, he'll be. He just said yes. He'll be happy to accept it, and he'll I don't know if he would actually even eat any of the candy since he's a hologram. So
Oh.
That's a challenge.
yeah. So his Halloween costume was a tribute to Red Dwarf, and I don't know how many people would actually get that. So there you go.
Which character?
I'm gonna guess Rimmer because he had a big H on his forehead.
Oh, there you go.
So there you go.
You know, we've got some FATAS items to bring up. Yay, we love FATAS. You know, that's for the after show, in case this is your first time listening. If this is your first time listening, this is not a normal episode, but you know what? No episode is. Every episode is unique and special. Iham asks, did anyone wear a costume to work today? And
Yes.
Lansky, I think you're wearing a great mask right now. It's scary, but you know, you're only wearing it for today.
Funny. Never gets old every year.
Thank you. Iham went to work as a Viking on vacation.
Viking on vacation.
Hmm.
That feels like that needs a little explanation. But
Why?
in fact, I did.
I mean, in the past, if you talk about Vikings on vacation as, you know, in historical context, we call it an invasion, but, you know, conquest. But
I did get dressed up for work. We had a bit of an inside joke at work. We decided that everybody within my team, we were all going to dress the same way our boss dresses every Thursday because he's relatively predictable. So I got the entire team to all dress the same way. And it was pretty funny. We had it down to like similar watch, same lanyard, like everybody had it.
did he notice?
Well, what's funny is that he didn't notice at first, but then our director came in and said, "Wow, you got a lot of fans out on the floor today." So he started to clue in at that point and then started to look around, and he thought it was hilarious. The funniest part of that was that he didn't actually dress as he normally dresses on a Thursday today. He actually he was dressed differently. Like every single Thursday you wear the same clothes for like 3 years, and now the first time you change it up. But he thought it was pretty funny, so we took a group picture in the lunchroom. It was a lot of fun. It was a good, fun stress relief for our boss and the whole team as we are in the final stretch of a very challenging project at work. So it was good. It was fun that way.
Nice. Now, I didn't dress up this year, but in the years past, I've worn scrubs. I have a set of scrubs, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I don't work in the healthcare industry.
Do you play one on TV?
Yes. Sometimes I wear
Oh no.
an oxygen mask with it. Sometimes not.
You sure it's oxygen?
No. And but it's amazing when you wear scrubs and you're not used to wearing them, you wear them into places, people treat you differently. That's just not fair. So I think I should just wear them more often.
Excellent. I see Monkey Cake said that she'll post Iham's picture to Instagram so we can all see it later. That'll be excellent. I'm looking forward to that. He said it's a Viking beard and helmet with a Hawaiian shirt and shorts. I love it. Okay.
Nice. Very
Viking
nice.
on vacation. Jesse, you were saying before the show that where you work, they have some fun with dressing up.
Yes, lots of fun. I have in the past dressed up. I didn't this time. I as soon as I walked in the door regretted it because I thought, gosh, look at all these great ideas. But no, not this year.
Okay. Jim?
I did not, but several of my coworkers tried to do the entire department as Star Trek. So my coworker to my right was a very convincing Spock, ears, wig, and the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
And there was a red shirt engineer just past him. So
did he make it through the whole day?
he did. He was there when I left anyway. So
There wasn't some amorphous blob.
he was quick to point out that engineering also wore red. So
Okay.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was only the red shirts that left the ship that, well, for the most part, had problems.
No,
Yeah.
Scotty often left the ship,
That's true.
but he
Yeah.
always made it back.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Very clever.
Let's see. Brylang says, I wore a Jurassic World Owen costume. I picked up at the Halloween store on my way home from work last night.
Nice.
Doramore dresses up at Scrubs all the time. It gets old.
Hmm.
Funny.
MC3 Cat says our office cat dresses up in costumes and trick or treats around the office, getting treats for cat shelters. Oh, that's nice.
That's very
That's
clever.
cool. Yeah.
Oh,
Neat idea.
you think the cat does it on its own?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. Jesse and I say yes. Jim says no.
I just flicker.
It's the poltergeist, I tell you.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
there's something weird up tonight.
All right.
Bryling says, 1 year I dressed up as Spookum Bear.
Mm.
Not
Ooh.
Skookum Bear, but
See what you
Spookum
did
Bear.
there. Very
Um,
nice.
I think I was there at a Richmond event.
Oh yeah, that was our yes, our Friday the 13th event we had at the Richmond Nature Center.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. That was a lot of fun.
Three Hams dresses up in a lab coat and safety glasses, which is his normal wear. That's what he wears on a normal Thursday.
Yeah.
I can't get over that your boss has a Thursday outfit.
He's kind of predictable that way. So.
Is,
But of course,
is there
now
one
he
every
knows
day of
he's
the week, or is
predictable
it
that
just
way.
Thursday?
Sorry, what's that, Chris?
Is there one every day of the week?
A typical
Um,
Monday outfit and a typical Tuesday outfit.
Yeah, and a typical Friday. Yeah.
Are they intentionally typical, or is it just what that ends up happening?
I don't know. I think it's what ends up happening. I haven't asked him, but now you've got me thinking about it. I'm going to ask him tomorrow. And I'm going to ask him why he switched it up.
Because he knew.
Well, somebody suspected, or somebody asked me if he knew, and he did not.
Oh.
I think it's possible that he. I've already heard varying stories at work this morning, but I think it's possible that he had a coffee malfunction before he left the house or something like that. So
A
caused
wardrobe
an
malfunction.
impromptu. Yeah, I was trying to avoid wardrobe malfunction because it has a different connotation to it, but you know.
Happens
what
to the
way?
best of us.
Jesse, you're keeping our listeners keen. That's for sure. They're like, oh, I was starting to tune out, but now I'm tuning out.
It's good for the after show.
Save it for the after show. That's right. When the ratings go right through the gutter. Yeah.
MC3 Cats wants to. Oh, I'm
In
changing.
other news,
I'm shifting gears without a clutch here.
You're on the hill.
Cats wants to remind us of a couple of WSGA GIF events. GC 8 Delta Bravo is located in Longview, put on by our Southwest chapter reps on the 9th. GC 8 Delta Victor 3 Delta GIF at a barn in Kent, Washington is on the 8th.
I'll be at that one.
So will I. And the Internet Explorer chapter, the IE chapter. Oh wait, maybe I've read that wrong. The Inland Empire chapter in Spokane is hosting a GIF on the 9th. That's GC 8 Echo Hotel Kilo Foxtrot. And our SC rep, is that Southern California?
South Carolina.
sure.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Has
South Central?
a GIF event in Richland on the 16th. Also, we are to remember, do you all remember LG 9000?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If you've seen him at an event, that's probably the only geocache find he had that day.
Well, that and 17 other events he did on the same day.
Right.
I did take him out to go find a physical cache one day. He thought it was very interesting. That's back to the event.
What is this?
He has a wedding celebration this weekend
Awesome.
on Saturday. Hold on, I've got the webpage somewhere.
Yeah, there are a few of them.
There's 3.
What-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Here it is.
Tacoma
In
and
Tacoma on.
like Shoreline and Spokane on next weekend. Or the
I mean, he's up and down the state. It seems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Seattle in the morning, Tacoma in the evening.
Ain't
yeah.
we got fun?
and then Spokane the next weekend.
That's awesome. I got to look into that. I know he had sent me some information about it, and I knew it was coming up a ways out from when I heard about it because did they get married just very, very recently or a little while ago and now they're having the events?
I think just recently, I think.
I
Okay.
want to say something like October 24th.
Oh, okay. So super recently. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if the events were like right after the wedding or a little ways after it. Very cool. Yes. A wonderful couple.
Yeah.
I don't know what convinced her to marry him, but good for her. Oh, we love to tease him. But yes, they're great people. And if you haven't met them, you should get out to one of these events. And
Yep.
They're a hoot.
Yeah, I'm planning to be at the Tacoma event. So
It'll be at the Seven Seas Brewery in downtown Tacoma. That's a
Yeah.
great
Yet
location.
another
It
reason
is.
to go.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's a good location.
Cool. Hey,
CRS 98 will be at the Shoreline event.
there you go.
Nice.
While we're plugging GGIF events, I want to plug a GGIF event that's being held up here in British Columbia. That is GGIF 2019 Outdorks meets Indorks. And that is going to be on November 10th.
That sounds dorky.
It is Sunday, November 10th at 6:30 p.m. And the GC code is, wait for it. Why is that? Oh, my window's too short.
Then we'll
Okay, there we go.
join us at the Tacoma event.
Uh,
It's not me. It's
isn't Shoreline closer to me than
and the
Tacoma?
patron.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of thought so. All right.
We know where Jesse's going to be now.
The GC code for the GGIF event up here is GC8 Echo Golf 76. There you go. So if you're going to be up here, come and join us. It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Everything is awesome.
It is when you're
Sorry.
part of a
Now
team.
that song is in your head, isn't it? Oh, and on that bombshell,
Mm.
Ooh.
folks, thank you for joining us tonight. Until next week, get out, even in the dark, and get caching in the Northwest.